So here we go, everybody. Welcome to another edition of Meet the Oppo, the show where I get the lowdown on town's next opponent, which is Charlton Athletic at Portman Road in League One. And I'm joined by Tash once again. It's a pleasure to be joined with you, Tash. How's things? It's been a roller coaster of a season once again for Charlton. We're going to get on to the last time we met, but how's things?
Hi Ross, yeah, it's good to be back on. Yeah, it's been another turbulent season for us. I feel like I said this to you before, I think last time on the pod, I just feel like I repeat myself every time I come on here because nothing's really changed. But yeah, no, all good. Just about recovered from the 4-4, I think.
Yeah, that was just... I still have nightmares of that game, and I'm sure a lot of town fans do as well. What a game it was. A freak result back in, I think, the end of October at the Valley. 4-2 up by town, looking like they're going to have a lovely away day in London, but then the rest is history. Tash, get a Charlton fan's perspective on it. That was just insane.
Yeah, I mean, I was saying to my family, I was absolutely furious when we went 4-2 down, because although before the game I probably, you guys are prepared for this season a lot better than we have in terms of recruitment, and I wouldn't have been surprised if we'd lost to you, to be completely honest. But I think over the course of the game, I definitely think we deserve something out of it. But those 2 goals that we conceded, the defending was terrible, from us. So when it got to 4-2, I thought, okay, I'm not going to leave. I don't like leaving games early, but I thought, no, I'm going to stick it out. Whereas town fans will probably know half the Valley, that anyone that was there basically had left. I'd love to know how many people actually stayed to see the end of it. But yeah, obviously it paid off. I'm not going to lie, when the third goal went in, I just had this really weird feeling. I was like, I feel like we're going to get a draw here. I feel like this is going to be absolutely ridiculous and it won't ever happen again. But I feel like we'll get a draw. And yeah, George Dobson jumped up at the right moment, and the rest is history. But I haven't celebrated a goal like that at the Valley for I don't know how long, and it looked like Ed Sheeran enjoyed himself as well when our goal went in, and so there you go. It just shows how dramatic it was.
Yeah, it was just... I'm still right now just thinking just... I don't know why our players just didn't go into the corner. Just go into the corner, but no. But a lot's happened since then for both sides. Of course, town have become winning machines. Yourself, Ben Garner's gone. Dean Holden's in, 10th in League One. A mixed bag of results, but one of the form teams as of late. Sort of recap the last few months and Dean Holden.
Yeah, so Ben Garner, I think that was a game against you that he got sent off. But I never really warmed to him. I'm not sure why. There wasn't any particular reason. I think a lot of the child managers over the last couple of years, bar Johnny Jackson and Lee Bowyer, I think I've not really had that connection with them. I think with us, we're the most successful when we have players that have played for us before and then they turn into managers and there's that connection. I think that's always really worked with Charlton. So when Dean Holden came in, I didn't really know what to expect. Obviously, he's had stints as a manager, but it's only really been when he's been an assistant, then he's gone in, as interim, or then got the job for a little bit, and then he's moved on at the end of the season, sort of thing. So it's basically untested. But when he came in, I think we just beaten Brighton in the League Cup. So got to the quarterfinals, obviously played Man United. Now, Dean Holden is a Man United fan. So one of his first games in charge. I don't think it was his first, but one of his first was United away. So what a dream for him. But I think just straight away, he kind of came in and he made it very clear that he had a certain standard of not necessarily a skill set of a player, because he didn't have the control really over who he had in his squad, but it was more the attitude. And I think that's been a problem for us over the years, certainly over this season, is with a lot of players that were kind of just cruising, not really playing for the shirt. I think that's very fair to say. There's definitely a few in there that, like George Dobson comes to mind, that definitely play for the shirt, but there are a few in there that were just kind of there for the ride. And I think it was quite clear from the start that we weren't going to really do anything this season again. We didn't spend any money, as I said last time, didn't spend any money again in the January window. So it's all a bit, we just thought we're not going to do anything here. When you've got the likes of you guys and Sheffield Wednesday and even Plymouth, sides that are just a lot more prepared for the campaign, we just accepted that. But Dean Holden, like it's been a mixed bag. It's weird because he went on a really good run of winning games. Like he really brought kind of just a bit of, I don't want to say team spirit because that sounds cringy, but like he's brought that energy back, even though it shouldn't be there because we are 10th in League One and we're not doing anything this season yet again. That's not his fault because he's come into that situation. But for some reason, even though it's a dead rubber and it has been a dead rubber for a long time, he has built that spirit back. And I think a lot of fans have really connected to him and much more than they expected to. So it's not all doom and gloom, but I think majority of Charlton fans have really warmed to Dean Holden. And I think with the right, as is always the case, with the right resources, I do think he can get a lot out of this team and next season because, you don't just go and beat teams like Shrewsbury who were above us in the league. That's where we are. You don't just go and beat them 6-0 if you're a rubbish manager. So clearly he's got something about him, but we'll just have to see.
Yes, that was a massive result the other week, weren't it? 6-0 against Shrewsbury at the start of April. And, as you said, it's been a mixed bag of results, but only one defeat in the last 7 games, 4 wins, 2 draws. So one of the form teams going into this game. 3-2 home win last time out against Burton. And Tash, let's talk then about the players. And of course, we've got to start off with Macauley Bonne. Returning to Charlton, will be returning to Portman Road, boyhood Town fan. Had an unbelievable season last year at Town. At the end of the campaign wasn't so good, didn't score the goals, but he had an amazing journey last year. How's he been? And I'm sure he's going to be well up for this one.
Yeah, so when we re-signed him in January, so we desperately needed a striker. But we have Macauley Bonne, who it's his first season in senior football, and he has been absolutely amazing. He's our second top scorer this season, and if you watch him, you would not think he was 19. Like he looks like a 27-year-old that's been playing the game for a long time. So I'm very lucky with him. But in terms of other strikers, we had Jaden Stockley, who was our captain in the first half of the campaign, had a good season last season with Connor Washington, teamed up really well as a striking pair. They got those guys, can't remember off the top of my head the number, but they had an all right return. But this season, Connor Washington's obviously gone to Rotherham, and Stockley just didn't look like the same player. He just couldn't. He did score a couple of goals, but he was no way the same player that he was last season, unfortunately. So he moved on to Fleetwood, and then Chuck Sanike he's one of my favourite players, absolutely, but he has the most unfortunate injury record you will ever see. Like he genuinely recovers from an injury. I think it was against Brighton, and he came on and he was genuinely on the pitch for about 3 minutes and he did his hamstring. Like he just has the worst luck. So we effectively had one striker. So when Macauley Bonne came back, I think because we knew that he hadn't played a lot of games at QPR, so I know he was on loan with you guys last season, but he hadn't really done much recently, so we were a bit apprehensive about it. Obviously, he did really well in the Championship with us because he signed for us from Leyton Orient when they were in the National League, and he really stepped up to the Championship. So there's no reason why he couldn't do it in League One. But yeah, it was kind of, unfortunately for him, it must have been a really frustrating start because he didn't score. I don't know how many games it was, but he finally got his first goal in the 6-0 over Shrewsbury. So that was a big sigh of relief for everyone, I think. It must have been for him. But yeah, so I think, and then he scored again at the weekend against Burton. He got the winner. So hopefully he kicks on now. But I think it's definitely, I think he came really close to scoring on his second debut for us. And I can't help but think if he'd done that, whether that confidence would have carried on, and yeah, we'd have got the camera off his back and he just would have been fine. But I think it hasn't helped that he's kind of had that pressure on himself to score. But hopefully, he'll be able to carry on now.
Yeah, and it will be a great, story this weekend. Macauley Bonne taking on his former club at Portman Road and all that. I'm sure because he's still got a lot of former teammates at Town that there's not much been changed. So I'm sure he will love that. Of course, McKenna as well. So it'll be a nice little homecoming for him. But of course, he'll be wanting to think he's got current employers in Charlton there, so he'll want to prove some maybe doubters wrong. Maybe. Let's talk also about Scott Fraser then. In this last 11 against Burton, against his former club Burton actually, but yeah, Scott Fraser signed. How's he been? I think he's got, let me get stats up, 6-7 goals, 5 assists, so he's doing pretty well.
Yeah, I mean, as is the case for a lot of players in the squad, actually, now I think about it, but Fraser's looks completely different under Holden. He looks much more confident going forwards, actually goes for goal. I think Fraser's probably a bit guilty of, he gets himself in some quite good positions, but doesn't quite have the confidence, in my opinion, to always go for it before. Whereas now he will just go for it. And, as you can see, some of those efforts have come off, and he scored a lovely free kick at the weekend against Burton. Sorry, not against Burton, against Shrewsbury. But no, he's. I think I said this to you last season. We lacked goals from midfield massively, and he was one of the players that I was hoping could step up to the plate this season and score from midfield, and he's done that. So hopefully, next season he can build on the progress that he's made. But yeah, it's definitely. He's definitely made improvements. Like when I first spoke to you about him, maybe when in the reverse fixture when we played you last season, how he was getting on. He's definitely come on.
Yeah, definitely. And I'm sure he's maybe want to prove some doubters wrong. Left. I think I was disappointed when he left and went to you guys, but
lots of my Ipswich mates they were sad that he'd gone. So.
Yeah, but we'll see how he plays this weekend. And let's talk then about the other players that haven't got connections to town. Raksaki is the boy, the young player of the year, a nomination with Cameron Humphreys, actually one of the other nominations, but he's having a great season on loan from Palace. He's a player to look out for, isn't he?
Absolutely. I think I might have said this to you before, but when he first signed for us in the summer, and the Palace connection is not ideal. I thought we don't want to develop one of their players, so we don't like Palace. But I've completely forgotten every association that Raksaki has with Palace. In my mind, he's a Charlton player. He actually came through Chelsea's academy, so we make a joke that he is a Chelsea player. But yeah, so he's been fantastic, and even. But when he first came, he was very raw, which is to be expected because it's his first loan in senior football. But oh my God, the difference between the beginning of the campaign and now is incredible. Like that skill was always there, but the consistency and the confidence is mad now. And you can even see it when he does post-match interviews. So I think when he first did an interview with the club, he came across very shy, which understandable. You're a teenager going into a club you don't know, it must be really scary. But then now he just seems like he's been in the squad forever, and he's our top scorer. So that says all you need to know. But he scored an amazing goal against Burton at the weekend. He took it from outside the box and literally just danced past about 6 defenders and just put it in the bottom corner like it was nothing. So I think that's going to be a task to replace him next season. I don't know what Palace will do. I know he was linked with you guys in January. I don't know whether that was any substance to that or not, but I think Palace had done the right thing in keeping him at Charlton, because if he'd have gone to a club pushing for promotion, doesn't guarantee him a spot in the starting 11. The likelihood is those teams like you have already got your wingers that you don't need to replace really. Whereas for us, I'd like to think we're not that terrible. Still trying to push towards the top half, got some decent quality in there, and inevitably he's played, I can't remember how many, I think he's played over 40 games this season. So it's invaluable experience. And yeah, I think Palace, it depends on what they do this season. I think they will stay up, but I don't think they would send him back out on loan to us. I think if they were going to send him on loan, he'd probably go up to the Championship, because clearly he's got the ability to do that. And yeah, I don't think he's quite ready for the Premier League yet, but he's definitely not far away at all. So yeah, he's been great.
Yeah, I'm looking at the stats now, 20 goal involvements, 13 goals, 7 assists. So yeah, he's having one hell of a season. We've got the 11 there. Any other names we should look out for? There's a few notable names people may know, but take it away. Anybody, of course, Dobson, the man who scored that fourth goal. But yeah, any other names?
Yeah, your favourite player. The one that jumps out to me the most is, if Lee Byrne was on there, I'd say Lee Byrne, just because he's carried on to be amazing in his first season. But Maynard Brewer is another one I need to give a shout out to, because he is a goalkeeper that's come through our academy. He's actually Australian, but he's been in our academy for ages. And come through the youth teams and everything. And he made his debut when Joe Woolacott, who we got from Swindon in the summer, he got injured. So Woolacott was meant to go to Ghana, go to the World Cup with Ghana as their first choice goalkeeper, but he injured his finger in the warm up in his last Charlton game before he flew to Qatar. So bad luck. But that meant that Maynard Brewer had a spot in the team. And at this point, Craig McGillivray, that's now at Burton, was on the way out. So yeah, it gave Maynard Brewer the opportunity, and Woolacott's come back from injury now. I don't know how fully fit he is, but Maynard Brewer's kept his spot. Again, he's in his early 20s. I think he's been incredible, really, really impressive. He played, bearing in mind it was one of his first big games. He went to Old Trafford, and I know we conceded 3 goals, but that's because Man United had to bring on the big guns at the end. They brought on Rashford when we were 1-0 down, and I thought, yeah, okay. But he did amazingly. And again, he reminds me of players like Tyrese Campbell that we've got that's come through the academy. There's another defender that's out injured at the moment, unfortunately, Lucas Ness. He's been incredible, and you just wouldn't think that these players hadn't played senior football before this year. So, yeah, he's been really good for us.
Okay, then. Well, one final name to mention, to take away the 11. Matt Penny, who's currently on loan, might be able to play because of the loan rule and stuff. But yeah, it doesn't sound like he's been doing too well. 5 appearances, hasn't played since the end of Feb. Yeah, quick little insight on him.
So obviously, yeah, came to us on loan in January, and I'm pretty sure he started, I think, the first few games, or at least definitely came on. But unfortunately for him, I don't know. It just hasn't worked out. I think we've got Terrell Thomas, who actually used to be in our academy but moved on and then has come back. He is actually more of a centre back, but he plays at left back. And then Todd Kane, who we also got on loan from Coventry in January, he's also a left back. So Kane's just come back from injury as well. So there's not really a lot of space in the squad for Penny. I think the games he played in the game against Exeter, which we won, but I felt like he always looked a little bit shaky, I think it's fair to say. So I think, yeah, there's just been other players that have looked more comfortable in that position. And I think now with Todd Kane coming back, unfortunately, I don't think Penny will get many minutes. But yeah, I think he's been in and out of the matchday squad. But hopefully it's doing him some good being on loan, and yeah, maybe get some more minutes before the end of the season, but we'll have to see.
Yeah, wait and see. Just once again, one of those loan spells that maybe just didn't work out, but we'll find out what happens with the future of Matt Penny there. Well, Tash, how you feeling then ahead of this game? 2 very different sides taking on each other. Last time out, 4-4, then a 4-0 win for Town on the end of last season. So 2 very different games, but how you feeling going into this one?
Yeah, it's a weird one because I almost feel quite terrified, because if you guys could beat us 4-0 last season when it meant absolutely nothing for either side, then what are you going to do when you need to get to the top of the league? But yeah, no, I think, touch wood, I think we'll hold our own. I don't think we'll be quite on the collapse that we endured at your place last season, I'd like to think. I just think we're a bit more disciplined than that. I'd like to think under Holden, I don't think he would take players being on the beach. And I guess it's kind of getting into that part of the season as well, where actually players are going to have to prove that they're worth keeping, and they're not, especially if they're out of contract. So I'd like to think we're not going to get smashed 4-0 again. We're actually quite high. We've been quite high scorers this season, not so much away from home, unfortunately, but I think there was a point a few months ago where we had the highest goals scored, well, maybe the 3rd highest behind Sheffield Wednesday and Plymouth or something, which is mad. So hopefully, I'd like to see us score a goal. I'm not going to have my hopes up too high that we'll get anything against you. Like a draw. I always want to win, but I think I'll settle for a draw because you guys have a lot to play for. So
yes, of course, 13 games unbeaten for Town, but Tash, what you mentioned away record there, scored a few goals, but away from home, is there any difference from Dean Holden, his style of play, and the away form isn't too bad? It's once again another mixed bag. 6 wins, 6 draws, 8 defeats. I'm trying to look at some of the results. You lost 2-0 against Plymouth back in March. I'm just trying to look at any other results. You got a good win against Portsmouth, of course, on New Year's Day. That's a nice little away victory. But yeah, away performances? Anything different from home games?
Not massively, to be honest. I can think of. I mean, hand on heart, I haven't been away as much this season as I normally go away, partly because of work, but just because a lot of the away games, as you know, are very far away from London. So a majority of them. But to be honest, no. I think we still very much like playing from the wings. That's kind of defined us for a while, and I feel like it'll probably continue like that. But no, to be honest, I don't really see much of a difference. I don't know what it is. I don't know why we can't score away from home as much as we do it at home. But yeah, there you go.
Yeah. Well, Tash, it's been a pleasure. Thanks so much for joining me. Any other business, any other notes you want to mention? Of course, you're a Her Game 2 ambassador. I'm sure you're linked up with good old Maddie Reader as well. But any other business?
Yeah. No, definitely. I met Maddie at the Valley at the 4-4, so that was great. Yeah, it's good to meet her. But yeah, no other business. Just good luck for the rest of the season. And I'm not just saying this because I'm on your podcast. I'm secretly rooting for you guys to go up over Sheffield Wednesday because they just irritate me. So yeah, uptown basically.
Oh, love it, Tash. Love it. Yeah, we're also very, very hoping we go up this year because it's been 4 years in the waiting. But we'll wait and see. Well, bring on this weekend. If you're going to the game, enjoy. If you're not, follow the game with us. And Tash, thanks again. Bye bye for now.
Thanks a lot. Thanks, Ross.